Hello, everyone. Welcome to ZoomCharts presentation for FP20 Analytics. Today, it's Yanis Wahlberg, CEO of ZoomCharts, here with you. Along with me is Ivis Pavlos. Ivis,
Hey, everyone.
How are you today?
Doing good, doing good. What about you?
Excellent. We're absolutely excited to partner with FP20 to work together with you guys to help us all together build even better reports for business audiences globally. And today, we're going to look into what ZoomCharts is very briefly, but more importantly, we're going to focus on how you can participate in this contest, what the process is going to be, and how you can make most out of it. So, Ivis, anything from your side you'd like to add on top of that?
Basically, we're going to go through, talk a little bit about ZoomCharts, how to get the most of it, and then we're going to focus on the challenge itself, how to register, what are the rules, and so forth, so that at the end of the day, you know everything about the contest and you're all set to go.
All right, great. So we can see that there's already 15 participants here in the webinar, so probably we'll wait another minute or so to let you guys connect to the webinar Jam platform. And once that is done, then we'll go straight ahead and jump into the topics and the agenda as described earlier. Also, for those of you who would like to share this information with some of your friends after it, there's going to be a recording on our website. So we'll totally send a link to you that you can then share with your friends and colleagues. Also, Ivis, what about the questions? If audience has questions, how do they ask questions?
So regarding the questions, one thing that we usually ask for is please try to ask them in the Q&A section. So on the chat where you have two tabs at the top. There's the chat itself and Q&A. So give the questions in the Q&A so it's a little bit easier for us to manage them and go through them and make sure that we answer all of them. At the end of the presentation, we're going to have a separate segment where we go through those questions. And if there's anything that we miss or we can't answer straight away, I don't know if we need some additional input or anything, make sure you leave also your email address or any ways and form for us to contact you to get just back on those questions.
All right, great. And yeah, certainly make sure to use that, and we encourage that. And this is totally a great way how you can ask questions that maybe some other attendees have or might have in the future. So please don't be shy. Go ahead and ask whatever you'd like to with regards to this contest and or ZoomCharts or Power BI for that matter. All right, Ivis, I think it's a good time to proceed.
Yeah, I think so. I also just posted in, there's also an additional email that everybody can send them questions to. So if after the webinar you do have any additional questions that you just want to get answers to, just send an email to webinars@zoomcharts.com and we'll get back to you that way. That's also one of the channels that you can use. All right, without further ado, I guess we can go to the agenda slide. Just go through it quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you could just switch the slide, go for it.
There we go.
All right, so let me start with the big picture here. So why are we here today? I don't know if you know, but there's actually more than 20 billion annually being spent on BI and data architecture globally. So that is including BI software, BI services, and more things on top of that. However, at the end of the day, what most business users use and see in their day-to-day lives are the reports. And as we all know, that for this investment in the BI stack to be really useful, what needs to be great or actually excellent are the reports. And it's you, the report creators, who have great influence over that result. And as we work towards this idea where we want to ensure that most people around the globe have perfect experience with the reports, this is why we decided to work with FP20 Analytics and your community to work together for this goal on how to improve the reports to make most out of the BI investments globally. And really, it's super important to emphasize that it is actually you, the report creators, who make most difference. Because if you are making reports that are not easy to use or that have issues for adaptability, then it's actually very difficult to then move forward with, right? And we know that all of you are always looking for new ways how to make even better report experiences. And this is in fact what ZoomCharts is doing. ZoomCharts is all about visual data exploration. We've been around more than 10 years, and our focus is to create a technology that is specifically designed for exploring data, regardless of its type, whether it's time-based, category, map, graph, you name it, any other structure. We have built a technology that makes this exploration super simple. And in this simplicity lies also a great success, because what we've learned from our customers globally is that once they start to create ZoomCharts with ZoomCharts technology, they reduce significantly time on the teaching their staff on how to use the reports. But more importantly, they find that the adoption rate of the reports grows significantly because they're so easy to use and they can learn more and make even better data-driven decisions. And most of you probably haven't seen ZoomCharts in action, and given that we are very visual, we figured it would be a good idea to do a really short demo for you so you have a better understanding of what we understand by ZoomCharts report. And to do that, I'll go ahead and I'll quickly share my screen with you. So give me a second. So the screen sharing is being enabled. All right, so here's a quick example where we have taken and also sales data and created a very basic example of a report where one is implemented with the ZoomCharts visuals and the other one is implemented with the built-in visuals. So I'll go ahead and look at the built-in visuals first. And you'll notice that it's straightforward. So what we have is an example of how not to use a donut here. So if you have too many slices, you can see it's difficult to kind of understand what's inside there. But this is not the biggest problem of it. When you present a report like this to your business user, and if the business user wants to explore the data, they have to be educated. Because let's say you want to explore what are the sales data in the USA. So, okay, so you notice that USA is here, and clicking on that nicely highlights the sales data in the USA. Now, if I, as a business manager, want to explore more on how my business people are doing in that region, let's say I'm interested in Marta. Now, if I click on Marta, you'll see that there's a typical problem of Power BI is that clicking on Marta now takes over and highlight drops the previous highlight, and now the data is only filtered one way through the Marta perspective. So this is non-intuitive, and you have to reconfigure your report and educate your report on how to do the so-called cross-filtering. And even once you've done that, let's say, and now they know that there's a right click that you can use to drill into things. So let's drill down into the USA. Once you're there, and now let's say we want to drill down in Marta, we can do that quite easily. But now let's look at the time data. So let's say we are interested in the first quarter of 2021. So one of the problems is that it's somewhat difficult to understand how the data points are related to the data labels. But even when you understand that, let's say this one is the first quarter. If I want to get inside, again, I'm using the right click and drill down. Now this becomes quite, again, difficult to understand because there's like no middle data point and so on. And now if I want to go to the previous quarter or the next quarter in a Power BI, you cannot really go right or left, right? You need to drill up, and then now we're back into the entire year, not where we were before. So now we need to drill up once again, and now we are in the years view. So from here, we can now drill down into the 2020, and then from here on, then we can find the last quarter, which is here, and drill down again. So it works, but you really need to educate your people who are using this and notice that this actually takes quite a bit of time to precisely navigate the data. And because of this, we see that many companies are not using that much of the drill down because it's quite tedious and non-intuitive. And ZoomCharts is really here to help us all these problems, because at ZoomCharts, the filtering and drill down is the primary action. So what I mean by that is, first, let's look at the donut. Notice that all of a sudden, this donut makes much more sense. We're not over cluttering that. We're only using like the top 5 slices that really make sense to show the top categories here, with everything else going in the other slides. If you have like a picky user who really needs to know what's inside others, well, they can just click on that and it opens up, right? Just like that. So like in Google page results. And so with this one, you immediately make much more sense of the data just by dropping this visual in. But more importantly, you can see there's an outline, and the outline means you can actually drill into the things. So you are being hinted that there's more data behind. And how you do that? Well, you just click or touch it, and immediately you drill into that slice. So you see what's on the next level, and you see where you came from. And everything around is now filtered because these visuals emit a filter for the entire report page. And similarly, in this column chart here, if I want to explore MARTA, again, I click on MARTA. And once I do that, you can see I drill into MARTA portfolio of results. And this now emits a new filter towards the timeline pro visual that now shows us the data aggregated by time periods. Again, it's the quarter as in the previous example. But here it's much more understandable because you have for every quarter, you can see where the quarter starts and ends. You have the name, and more importantly, if you hover that, you don't need to click that little thing and right click or anything. You literally just go over that quarter and tap on it if you want to drill into that particular quarter. And just like that, we see that it consists of like 3 months, obviously. And more importantly, from here, if you need to go right or left, you don't need to go up. You can simply click this little button here to go one way, or you can actually use swipe gestures if you're on a touch enabled or even desktop device to scroll things around. If you want to go back or remove the filter, there's a shortcut button for you for each of the visuals, or in Donut, you can actually click in the middle to get to the initial state. So this then summarizes how you can literally speed up the user experience for your end users, how they can drill and filter data without the need of additional education, because when you present reports like these, they're super easy to use. And for BI reports to stick around, this kind of ease of use is one of the critical elements that you need to implement in your report, because the happier your users will be, the more they will use, the more job you'll have by creating additional views and drilling more into data. And at the end of the day, you will help your company to maximize the return on entire BI investment stack, which is huge. So reports are really key to unlock the success of a BI. So with that being said, that's it from my side here. So I'd like to give the floor to Ivis to talk more about the challenge itself and what are the next steps there.
All right, thanks for that, Yandis. I think everybody can agree that was a great presentation, right? And it really went down to the core of why ZoomCharts and drill down visuals are kind of giving you that an essential leap towards the next level. We always try to focus on things that are visually appealing and help you to tell the stories through the visuals rather than just, have another PDF file just for the text itself. You actually tell the stories through the visuals, and that way you allow the user to navigate. But as far as the challenge goes, it's quite simple. So one of the first things you want to do is, of course, just go to our website, and where you can find the challenges, pretty simple. Right here in the top menu, you can find a tab called Challenges. Open it up. You can see right here, FP20 Analytics October Challenge. You click on it to learn more. And this page essentially is going to cover every single thing you need to know when it comes to the challenge. So most important one, of course, is here for the register. So let's just take you quickly through the process itself, right? Click on register. It's going to take you to the login page. This is where you can go in 2 different routes. One of them is, of course, if you don't have a ZoomCharts account, you're going to need to create an account in order to participate. So first name, last name, email, password, repeat the password, agree to the terms and conditions, kind of important. So you do that and you click on register. If you do already have a ZoomCharts account, you can easily just sign in with already an existing account. So there's no issue whatsoever if you already have an account. It's the same process. Now, once you log into the account, you're going to have 2 options on what you can do here. First of all, for those of you who might already have, for example, a subscription to the ZoomCharts visuals, you don't really need developer's license. You can use your actual license for development of the report, and that's not going to be an issue. For those of you who don't have a license, what we offer is a great advantage to you. We allow you to actually get these so-called developer licenses. Of course, you need to agree to terms and conditions, but what basically this allows you to do is, as soon as I click on activate my license, that's going to give me a username and a password, which has the access to all ZoomCharts visuals and all the paid capabilities and everything. So you can have full access to the full suite of visuals to make the most of your reports. And what's also great about this is it gives you a possibility to just play around with the visuals whenever you want to. Now, one thing to always remember, this is for development purposes. So you can't really use these licenses afterwards for commercial purposes. But when you're testing out the visuals and everything, you can use this license and there's going to be no issue whatsoever. Now, if we go back to the previous page, I mentioned that there are 2 options you can do here, right? So you activate the developer's license, and the other one is for the submission of the report. The submission is also relatively simple. Click on go to the submit page. It takes you, of course, to another page where you type in the name of the report. Let's just call it test report. Very unique, right? Then you add some additional description, for example, sample or submission for the FP20 analytics. And then one thing that we also ask you for is your LinkedIn URL. Now, some of you might think, why do you need my LinkedIn? Pretty simple. What we do from our side is the best reports that we see coming from the challenge are also going to be populated in our report example gallery. So it's also a great way on how you can actually see your name being showcased also in our websites, and you can get additional, let's say, exposure for that, and also maybe get some additional job opportunities. Now, why this is also important is whenever we announce the winners and everything, so we can easily reference your ID for the LinkedIn profile and just have you tagged within the post so you can easily see all the news and everything. How to get the LinkedIn URL, in case you don't know, pretty simple as well. Open up your LinkedIn itself, then just click on your profile right here. And this link right here is the one that we're looking for. So that's the link towards your specific URL, towards your profile in LinkedIn. So just copy it, go to the submission page, paste it in, attach a file, because, otherwise it's kind of hard to evaluate what you have done there. Submit a PBX file, get the message that it's uploaded, agree to the terms and conditions, and submit report. Give it a little bit of time, things have to get uploaded, and you get a message that you have submitted your report. Now, once you submit your report, it's actually going to go through a verification process where you're going to have one of the two following options being sent back to you. One of them is going to state that, hey, the verification process has gone through and your application has been accepted. So you're all good to go. And we're going to send backwards a public URL, which you can use in your LinkedIn messages or whatever you want to. That's going to have the embedded link to the report, so users can actually play around with what you have created. The other option that you could receive here is, for example, a verification process has gone through, but your application has not been accepted. Now, this means that you probably haven't met one of the criteria for the reports, or if there are some other reasons, some explicit materials which are not supposed to be there and so forth. But the main idea is get the validation message. If you don't get it, always reach out to the team. Just, double check, make sure that, the report hasn't, lost somewhere in the system. Because, things might happen as well. But that's essentially it for the submission process. Now, what's also important is, like I said, there are some rules that you have to follow here. So if you go to the page of the event itself, you're going to see there's going to be information about the FP20 challenge itself. You're going to have all the links to the community, to the FP20 Analytics website as well. Now, why this is so important is because the data set needs to be downloaded from FP20 Analytics website. So you open up their page for the challenge, scroll down to the very bottom, and right here you can see there's a link to the dataset. Click on it, and that's going to download the Excel file, which has all the necessary data for this challenge. Now, as far as the timeline goes, so the challenge already started yesterday, and it's going to end on the 9th of November. So you have quite a decent amount of time to kind of create a report and submit it there. What's also important is that here are all the rules that you have to go through, just to make sure that everything is up and ready, set, and you can actually participate in the report. One more thing is, please do pay attention to these points right here. These are just some of the things that we just tell you to create so that the reports have a more unanimous, let's say, experience as far as what they're doing and what they're trying to explore there. At the end of the day, don't feel afraid to play around with the data. See what else you can get out of there, because these are the things that we are looking for. If you get any additional information and you want to showcase that as well, go ahead, right? There's no limitation as far as that goes. These are just the main things that we want to look and find in the report. So make sure that the report answers these questions. As far as some technical requirements, there's a maximum of 2 pages. There's some canvas size restrictions. The report has to be developed in Power BI, and it must include at least 2 ZoomCharts visuals. Now remember, you have the developer's license, so you have access to all the file, let's say all the visuals and all the capabilities, so you don't have to worry about it. Then, of course, you have some judging criteria. You can go through them, see what's important and what are the kind of points that we're going to go through once we're evaluating the reports. So there's going to be things like the navigation within the report, are charts actually cross-filtering each other. So pay attention, for example, because we've seen a lot of, for example, submissions and other challenges where things look good, but when you start to interact with the visuals, for example, one of the visuals filters, the other one just does nothing. So just make sure that the visuals information is getting cross-filtered from one to another. So it makes sense for the user to actually be freely able to click on the visuals, get the information that they're looking for, rather than just, clicking on one of the charts and nothing really happens there in the background. So just few little things like that. Other than that, think about the design, think about the layout. You can find a lot of the information. I think everybody can agree with me. At this point, you can find everything, almost anything you need, either in YouTube or some other materials that are just out there. There's a lot of blog posts, there's a lot of community posts, there's a lot of YouTube content creators that just have an immense amount of materials that you can go through to learn more things about Power BI and how to set them up. As far as other resources go that you can actually use here, what I recommend you is, if you go to the website right here, at the top, you're going to see resources. So there's going to be a bunch of resources that you can use regarding ZoomCharts and drill down visuals. So for example, one of the things that you can always investigate is going to be report examples as such. So if you open it up, you can see there's just a bunch of different other reports. And what's good about this is, let's say, for example, I'm interested in this one. So if you click on it, it's going to open up an embedded version of the report. So I can open it up, I can interact with it, I can play around, see how things are getting filtered and so forth. So for example, I want to focus on the open deals. I want to see how the sales team in particular is doing and so forth. So you can see this is where the cross-chart filtering comes in hand, right? The charts are actually communicating with each other and telling the story. Now, what's most important about this, why I actually took you here, is this button right here. So every single report that you see in our report example gallery actually allows you to download it and have the PBIX field that you can go through. So you can look at all the customization options that we've used, the setups, the measures, and everything. Everything's available for you to basically dissect it. If you want to, of course. If you don't want to, and if you want to kind of go freestyle for it, go ahead. We always love to see what new ideas and what interesting charts users create. Now, if that's not enough, you can, of course, go through different blog posts. We talk about different visuals, what are the core strengths of them, what are, for example, the differences between the visual. Like, for example, let's open up this one, right? We talk about what are the main differences between a network visual and a graph visual. The same one, what's the difference between a time series and a timeline visual. We go through them, we tell about the most important features and so forth. So these materials are basically always available for you, so you can go through them and get as much information as needed. If you don't find some information that you're looking for, not in the documentation, blog posts, or anywhere, like I said, reach out to us. You have the email of webinars@zoomcharts.com. Just send us your questions and we're going to get back to you. Now, if the report examples and the blogs are not enough, one other thing that I can recommend you is webinars. So if you open up this section, you're going to see there's actually a lot of different events happening in the course of the event. So this is the event we're at right now. So the ZoomCharts presentation for FP20 Analytics. If we go further, you can see, for example, there's going to be another session on 10th of October with Yanis and other experts, where we go through and talk about the market demand itself and how to get the insights from it. Then we're going to go through special workshops. So there's actually going to be 2 workshops specific for this challenge. And in these workshops, what I'm going to do basically is talk about the data set, talk about what type of information can we get from it, and what can we build from it. Sure, I'm not going to create, the report from scratch straight away in just 1 hour, because, I got to leave something else for, the creative minds there. But that's the main idea there. And of course, you have last one that I would highly recommend is the video tutorials. The video tutorials are actually going to take you to another resource, which is ZoomCharts Academy. And ZoomCharts Academy is a place where you can learn everything about the ZoomCharts visuals that is necessary for you. So for example, let's say you're going to have a map visual in your report. So just find the map visual right here. And you can see there's just a bunch of different videos where we go through the initial setup. We talk about the overview, the main formatting options, the key customizabilities. Every single aspect of the chart is getting covered there. Probably not going to answer every single question out there, but going to cover most of them. If you have those specific questions, just drop us a message, right? Because I can't cover everything. I tried, but that's not humanly possible. So don't worry, if you have anything, just drop us a message. We're not going to bite you, right? We're here to support you throughout the challenge and make let's say we try to enable you to create really interesting and cool looking and informative reports, which are actually actionable and useful. So that's the main goal there. Other than that, I'd say I covered the most important things that I wanted to. I talked about the resources. I talked about the registration process and everything. So if you do have any questions, feel free to drop them in the Q&A section. Other than that, I don't know, Giannis, maybe you think I missed something. Anything important from your side?
Thank you, Ives. I think you did a great job covering everything from the submissions to the resources, and also pointing out that there are going to be a few more sessions where you can learn more specifically how to build reports with ZoomCharts. It is quite simple to begin with, but there are some certain things that take a bit of a know-how how to achieve, and so this is super valuable for you if you want to learn more tips and tricks. So I highly suggest that you sign up for the next webinar to see that in action. Other than that, yeah, we welcome you all to join all of the next webinars to then look in these topics that were mentioned previously. And yeah, especially if you join the next webinar, we're going to be covering more this philosophical part and where the BI is going and how you can make more out of the BI by creating more excellent reports. I think that's highly suggested next step. But other than that, please sign up for the challenge, get the dataset, and let's get going.
That's exactly. So Suda, you asked about the data set. So if you go to the challenge page, open up FP20 Analytics website. Actually, I'm not sharing the right screen. You know, it happens when you have multiple of them. Let's quickly go get there. So challenge is FP20 Analytics. Right here, FP20 Analytics website. You open it up, scroll to the very bottom of the page, and right here, you're going to have a data set. That's where you can easily download it.
Ives, you may want to copy the link and just maybe post that in the chat
sure.
as well.
So the challenge website for FP20 Analytics is here. The direct download link will be here. Nope. Now, what else? Oh yeah, one thing I forgot. I completely forgot about this. One other opportunity that we're actually giving to you is after the challenge itself, the marketing team is going to send you some additional materials on how to follow us and get your questions answered. And one of the opportunities that we're actually giving you is you're going to have a booking calendar, which offers you a possibility to schedule individual one-on-one sessions with me. So we can go through the report that you have already built. We can talk about things that you might, for example, not quite understand. You want to get some insights on, or if you just want to get my general feedback on the report, if you want to get some ideas about certain things or how this or that could be adjusted, feel free to use that link to just sign in for the sessions, and we can chat more about this. One more thing that I'm going to quickly send in the chat. Actually, if one of the colleagues could send the link to the feedback forum, that would be perfect. But there's going to be a feedback forum in the chat. And the reason why we have these feedback forums, I know, right? It's boring. We have them always. Nobody wants to do them. But it's really important for us. The main reason why we have these feedback forums and why we want your feedback is because we want to understand if these forms of sessions are necessary, right? If we covered what's interesting for you, if we covered the most important things, what are you missing? What other sessions would you like to see? And anything like that. So just help us to understand what can we do better from our side. Because even though, you know, we've been building visuals for quite a long time, like Giannis already mentioned, right? We know what we're doing on that part. We're still learning on other parts. We're still learning and trying to figure out, okay, how can we help the users get the most out of the visuals? What type of sessions are most important? Do we need practical workshop sessions, or we need more general guidance videos, or these sort of things? It just helps us to understand what to focus on rather than just creating, 50 articles. We can just create one video because that's more important. So we're trying to understand everything from your side as well. What's important and how can we get to the result better?
Yeah, right. Excellent. There's already the link in the chat, so please, yes, once more, go ahead and click on that link. It'll take maybe a minute or two to just dump your answers on these questions, and you'd help us a lot by doing so.
Exactly. Just in case somebody missed it, I'm going to paste it myself again. Can never have too many links, right?
Yes.
But yeah, if there's anything else, if you missed something, if you think we didn't cover anything, or there's some specific questions regarding the visual setup or something like that, just drop us a message. Don't be afraid. We're here to support you throughout the challenge, and we want to help you to create interesting reports, because at the end of the day, we're also interested in seeing what amazing stuff are you guys creating. I think that's one of the most interesting parts of these challenges, just seeing how people with the same data source create completely different looking charts, create completely different looking reports, and kind of have a different view of things. Because I remember when I started off at Power BI, this is one of the things that I did as well. I participated in the challenges to get experience and also to see what other people are doing and how they're doing it. It's an amazing way on how you can learn about Power BI, not just through theoretical aspect, but also the practical part of it. All right, let's just quickly scroll through the chat, double check if I didn't miss anything. So we covered about the event, covered about the resources, covered about the individual sessions, the feedback form. Oh yeah, in case anybody joined later, of course, there's going to be a recording of the session. So that's going to be available as soon as we've done editing it. Once it's live, we're going to send you a follow-up email, and you're going to have a link to the recording so you can always rewatch it if needed. And also you can always forward it to anybody else who needs to rewatch it. What other thing I could recommend is don't forget to sign up for the other events that we are having. So resources, webinars, I'm going to actually quickly send the link, full list of the webinars. So here, like I said, this one's happening right now. Next one is going to be on the 10th of October. Then afterwards, there's going to be some practical sessions on the 19th and the 26th of October. So make sure to register to those, participate, get your questions answered. Worst thing happens, you can't attend the webinar. Again, you're going to have the recordings. Don't worry about it. Just make sure you register to them to be able to access all the recordings and all the materials. So don't miss out on those opportunities. All right. Other than that, I think we're good.
All right. Then thanks everyone for attending this webinar today. We're looking forward to see your great submissions over the course of the next month or so. And also, we're looking forward to see you in the next webinars.
All right, everyone. Thanks for participating and looking forward to seeing your reports. All right, everyone.
Bye-bye.
See ya.